Cheating is often imagined as something physical, a secret meeting, a hotel room, a clear betrayal. But some of the most damaging affairs never involve touch. They happen quietly in offices, during coffee breaks, inside shared projects, and long conversations after work. An emotional affair rarely looks like cheating. It hides behind professionalism, teamwork, and just a colleague. This is the kind of betrayal that grows slowly, so slowly that even the person involved may not recognize it. In this story, we explore emotional affairs at work, how they begin, why they feel harmless, and how they can quietly destroy relationships long before anyone admits what is happening. The workplace is one of the most common places for emotional affairs to begin. And there are clear psychological reasons for this. At work, people spend hours together. They solve problems. They share stress. They celebrate small victories. Over time, emotional bonds form naturally. Unlike random social encounters, workplace relationships are built on routine and familiarity. Two people see each other regularly. They learn each other's habits, moods, and reactions. This creates emotional safety. When someone feels misunderstood or emotionally distant at home, work can become an escape, a place where they feel seen, valued, and competent. An emotional affair often begins with harmless conversations, complaints about work, jokes, shared frustrations. Then, the conversations deepen. Personal topics appear. Private thoughts are shared. Emotional reliance begins to form. What makes this dangerous is that it feels justified. It's just work. We're just talking. There's nothing romantic. But emotional intimacy does not require romance to become inappropriate. It only requires exclusivity and secrecy. And once those appear, the line has already been crossed. Not every close workplace connection is an emotional affair. Friendships at work are normal and healthy. The difference lies in boundaries. Emotional infidelity begins when one person becomes the primary source of emotional support instead of the partner, when personal struggles are shared with a colleague before being shared at home. It deepens when conversations are hidden, messages deleted, chats minimized when someone enters the room. Another clear sign is emotional priority. If someone looks forward more to talking to a colleague than to their partner, the balance has shifted. If emotional comfort is consistently sought outside the relationship, intimacy has been redirected. Emotional affairs also create comparison. The partner at home begins to seem distant, boring, or difficult. The colleague appears understanding, supportive, and exciting. This contrast is misleading. The workplace connection exists in a controlled environment. No shared responsibilities, no financial stress, no domestic conflict. It is intimacy without consequence. And that illusion makes emotional affairs extremely powerful. One of the most dangerous aspects of emotional affairs is how quietly they escalate. There is rarely a single moment where someone decides to betray their partner. Instead, there is a series of small decisions. Responding quickly to messages, sharing personal details, seeking validation. Each step feels minor. Together, they create emotional dependence. Over time, emotional energy shifts. The partner receives less attention, less patience, and less openness. The colleague receives curiosity, excitement, and emotional investment. This imbalance often causes guilt, but instead of stopping, many people rationalize it. I deserve to feel understood. It's not physical. It helps me cope. The emotional affair becomes a coping mechanism. And once emotional attachment forms, physical boundaries become weaker. Not always crossed, but no longer firmly protected. Even if the affair never becomes physical, the emotional damage is real. Trust erodes. Intimacy fades. Distance grows. Often, the partner senses something is wrong but cannot name it. That uncertainty can be more painful than truth. Emotional affairs rarely stay contained. They change behavior at home. The involved partner may become emotionally unavailable, less communicative, more irritable. Small conflicts escalate quickly. Patience disappears. Intimacy declines. Conversations feel shallow. Presence becomes physical, not emotional. The partner at home may feel confused. They sense distance but receive vague explanations. Work stress, being tired, nothing is wrong. Over time, self-doubt appears. They may blame themselves for the emotional gap. This is one of the most harmful effects of emotional infidelity. It quietly undermines the other person's sense of security and worth. Even without physical betrayal, the relationship suffers real loss. Loss of trust, loss of emotional safety, loss of connection. And when the truth eventually emerges, the pain is often underestimated. Many people dismiss emotional affairs as harmless, but betrayal is not defined by physical contact. It is defined by broken trust. Awareness is the first defense against emotional affairs. Recognizing early signs can prevent long-term damage. These signs include emotional secrecy, prioritizing a colleague emotionally, defensiveness when questioned, withdrawing from the partner. Prevention begins with boundaries. Clear emotional boundaries at work, transparency at home, open communication about stress and needs. If an emotional affair is already forming, honesty is essential. Not confrontation, not accusation. Honest reflection. Asking difficult questions. Why this connection feels necessary? What is missing in the primary relationship? In many cases, emotional affairs signal unmet emotional needs rather than intent to betray. But ignoring them only deepens the damage. For partners who discover emotional infidelity, the pain is valid. Healing requires acknowledgement, accountability, and time. Not all relationships survive emotional affairs, but many can if addressed early and honestly. Emotional loyalty matters as much as physical loyalty, and protecting it requires awareness, discipline, and respect.